Welcome back, guys, to the Andrew Delich podcast. Every problem is an opportunity in disguise. Ocean's 11, one of the greatest movies to ever have been made. Star-studded casts. George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, the list goes on. In that movie, an amazing movie, and in that movie, Brad Pitt's character once said, every problem is an opportunity in disguise. For people who don't know what that movie is, it's 11 people with Danny Ocean played by George Clooney. Danny Ocean with 11 robbers, they're planning to rob a bank. And whilst on their heist to rob the bank, they encounter a lot of problems. And once when they encounter a problem, they went to go see Brad Pitt's character, to tell them we have a problem. And he simply said, every problem is an opportunity in disguise. What a fucking mentality to have whenever you face a fucking problem in life. That's a real mentality you need to have and you need to possess. Whenever you face a problem in your life, it all depends on how you're going to perceive it and how you're going to look at that problem. If you look at that problem negatively and say, oh my God, I have a problem, and you're all sad, you're all fed up with your emotions, you're all emotional about it, then that's when that problem is a bad thing. Simply having a problem doesn't mean that it's a bad thing or a good thing. Having a problem is in the middle. It's how you react to that problem that's going to decide if it's on the left side, meaning that it's a bad problem, or on the right side, meaning that it's a good problem. When I said left side, right side, it has nothing to do with political affiliations. I simply used two sides to explain something. Like I said, every problem is an opportunity in disguise. So when you have a problem, you have two options. Either you get all emotional, all sad, all pissed off that you have a problem, and then what happens? You're not going to solve that problem, number one. And number two, you're not going to go further in life because your reaction to that action, to that problem is negative. It's not allowing you to grow. Every problem is an opportunity in disguise. What I mean is that when you put your emotions to the side and when you use your calm, rational mind, when you have a calm mind, that's when you have a powerful mind. When you have a powerful mind, that's when your mind is rational and calm. It goes together. So when you calm your mind, when you put your emotions to the side, when you face a problem, first of all, you'll find a solution way quicker and you'll find a way more effective solution to that problem. And second of all, you're going to grow as a human being. The only way we human beings can grow and can become better versions of ourselves, the only way we can level up as human beings throughout life is by facing problems and overcoming those problems, or even more, overcoming our fears. That's the only way, the solely and only way that we human beings can level up and rise and become better than who we were yesterday and in the past. That's the only way. If you spend your entire life without any problems, everything goes well, everything goes according to plan, everything is given to you, you don't have to fight for anything, you never have no reason to face your fears. You never voluntarily face your fears. You never ever solved any problems in your life. First of all, you're going to be a really incompetent human being. You're not going to be proud of yourself. You're not going to have confidence. Why? Because everything that you have was either given to you by mommy and daddy, Nepo babies, or just by the world. When you face struggles, when you face adversity, when you face your fears, and when you overcome all of those challenges, that's when you grow up, that's when you level up, and that's when you become the best version of yourself. And by becoming the best version of yourself, that automatically gives you more confidence in life. That's how you gain confidence, is by solving all your problems, facing adversity, facing problems, facing your fears, and then leveling up. So whenever you face a problem, whenever you have a problem in your life, not only should you be stoic, but you should thank God. Thank you, God, for giving me a problem, because right now you're giving me an opportunity to rise and to become a better human being. So whenever you face problems, that's God blessing you. Whenever you face problems, that's God giving you a shot to become a better and more successful human being. Whenever you face problems, that's God putting you steps closer, giving you a chance to become steps closer to your goals, to your dreams. That's how God works. Whenever you pray to God at night and you say, God, please, please give me what I want. Please make me accomplish my dreams. I want to accomplish my dreams. I want to get closer to my personal goals, to my professional goals, to my goals in general. God won't simply give you those dreams, won't simply give you what you want. He'll give you the opportunity to fight for what you want. That's how God blesses us. Whenever you face problems, every single problem is an opportunity to rise, it's an opportunity to level up, and an opportunity to become a better and more competent human being in life. That's what problems are. Problems are never a bad thing. They're always a good thing. Always. Either for us to grow financially, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, and all of the above, and etc., and everything else that comes with humanity, being a human being, living life, and just being a normal human being. We all have problems, and having problems is normal. Like I said, it's how we react to it. We have two choices. Either we react badly to it, we become depressive, we become filled with anxiety, we become anxious, or we look at that problem as an opportunity to rise and to become better and to grow as human beings. If you're capable of looking at it that way, that's the only way you're going to grow. If you look the other way, not only are you not going to grow, you're going to degress and become less competent, and you're not going to become closer to your dreams. You're going to put yourself steps behind and further away from your dreams. That's how it works. Thank you, Brosi, for the water. So like I said, not only should we pray to God or to the universe for no problems, we should beg God for problems. We should beg the universe for problems, because every problem is an opportunity for us to grow and to become better. Talking about God, the universe, and everything, recently I was with my friends at my friend's house. We were chilling, and then some of my friends are Muslims, other are Christians. We started talking about religion. And then one of my friends asked me, do you believe in Adam and Eve, the story of Adam and Eve? I said, no, I don't. I mean, yes, I'm Christian, but I'm not fucking dumb. I don't know for a fact 100% because I wasn't born that day. I didn't see it with my eyes, but I'm pretty fucking sure that the world didn't start, that humanity didn't start with Adam and Eve, and then Adam and Eve had kids, and then the story goes on and on. I'm pretty fucking sure that story is fake and didn't exist. Just as much as I'm pretty sure that the Virgin Mary isn't actually a virgin, because how the fuck could she give birth to Jesus Christ, right? So yes, these stories, and if I might add also, for people who don't know, how the reason that we say the Virgin Mary is because it's a bad translation of what it actually means. When they wrote the story of the Virgin Mary, what they meant to write was a young lady giving birth. But the translation, I think it was from Hebrew to Latin, or is it Latin to Hebrew? I'm not sure. But in that translation from Latin to Hebrew or Hebrew to Latin, they mistranslated that word, which in the beginning was meant to be young woman, young lady. But they translated to virgin woman, virgin lady, the Virgin Mary. That's what he translated to. And the reason it stuck is because it's not every day that a virgin woman gives birth to a kid, to a child. It's not every day it happens. It actually never happens because it's impossible. So it's more dramatic. It's more beautiful. It's a more fairy tale-like story. So that's why that story stuck. Because if it was simply a young lady giving birth, yes, it's more rare, but it's still very common, especially in those days, 2,000 years ago, where women would give birth at the age of like 14, 15, and 16. So different times. So that time, it was simply a mistranslation of what the actual word was. It was supposed to be young lady, young Mary, and not Virgin Mary or Virgin Lady. They mistranslated, and the reason that it stuck is because, like I said, it's not every day that a virgin woman gives birth to a kid. It's not every day. So that's where the Virgin Mary story comes from. But to get back to what I was saying in the beginning. So of course, they asked me, do you believe in Adam and Eve? I'm like, no, what the fuck? I mean, we're in 2026. Yes, I am Christian. I love the morality behind the values, behind the stories. But no, I don't believe that Adam and Eve are the two first human beings, and that's how humanity started. Like, I believe in evolution, I believe in science, and Darwin, when he explained the evolution theory, I believe in science. Why? Because Jesus fucking Christ, I'm not dumb, right? And I'm not disrespecting anyone who believes in the Virgin Mary and the Adam and Eve story, but I mean, come on now. Like, Adam and Eve, the first two human beings, and Adam was the first human being, and then Eve grew out of his rib cage. I mean, like I said, no disrespect to them, but what the actual fuck? Like, that's not like that's not real. Like, this is a reality check. Let's keep it real. That's not a real story. Just like probably all the stories told in the Bible, they're probably all made up. But who cares? Who cares? That's not the point of the Bible. The point of the Bible is not to see if those stories are true or not true, if they really happened or if they didn't really happen. That's not the point. The point is the message behind those stories, the values those stories bring to us, the beauty of the messages behind those stories, the beauty of those stories, how to treat humans, how humans should interact between each other. It's like a perfect book representation of human psychology, sociology, philosophy, the perfect book for humanity. But the stories written in that book, which in my opinion, probably 99% of those stories, maybe they happened, but of course, like you guys know, whenever a story happens, and then when later on when people talk about that story, everyone always exaggerates, right? Like, let me give you an example. Let's say before, when I used to work at bars, right? When I was a bartender, whenever there was a fight in the club, right? When the fight was happening, of course, the fight's happening. We don't talk about it. 2 days later, when people talk about the fight that happened 2 days previous, they talk about that fight. They exaggerate that fight 10 times more than what it actually was. Why? I don't know. That's fucking human nature. That's how it is. So imagine a story that happened 2,000 years ago, and then the Bible being written maybe 200, 300 years after that. Imagine how much they exaggerated those stories. It's normal. It's normal human nature. And plus, now we can exaggerate a bit less because, of course, let me get back to my fight story. Let's say that fight was videotaped, right? You cannot exaggerate that much because, hey, we have proof, it's videotaped. It's not actually that crazy as you say, as you portray it to be. We have fucking video proof, right? At that time, there wasn't video proof. There wasn't pictures. There wasn't fucking anything. Who knows what happened? It was so easy to lie. If no one saw you, it's like it never happened. There's no cameras. There's no iPhones, there's no phones, there's no whatever. So who knows what actually fucking happened? So imagine now, even now, where it's way harder to lie when it comes to stories than before, even now people still lie, still exaggerate, and still portray a story to be, even though it isn't what they actually portray it to be. Even now in 2026, that happens. So imagine 3,000 years ago, or 2,026 years ago. Imagine how much exaggerations were fucking happening in those fucking times when, first of all, who fucking saw those stories? And then telling a story year after year, year after year, it compounds. And then after multiple years, every single year, you add a little bit of exaggeration, a little bit of exaggeration. That's also one thing that happens with time. Let's say there was a fight in 2019. In 2020, they're not going to talk about that fight the same way they are going to in 2020 than in 2025. Why? Because with time, those stories, those exaggerations, they compound over the years. And then 10 years later, it's 10 times bigger than what it was 1 year after the fight actually happened. That's how it is. I don't know why. It's human fucking nature. I guess it's like a way to entertain us, to make stories more interesting, to catch the other person's attention even more. Maybe that's the reason why, but the fact remains. It remains a fact. Whenever a story happens, we all tend to exaggerate that story. I have many experiences where I can back up this fact. So do probably all of you guys listening to this podcast right now. And so does every single human being who has more than fucking 5 years of life. That's how it is. So that's why the Bible, in my opinion. So when that guy, my friend, when he told me, oh, well, you're not a real Christian, so because you don't believe in Adam and Eve. I'm like, I understand where you're coming from. I understand your logic. But at the same time, like Gandhi once said, there are as much religions as there are human beings on planet Earth, which I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And also, one thing that's really beautiful with the Bible, really beautiful, it's like a double-edged sword, double-edged knife with the Bible, is every single story can be interpreted a million ways by a million different people. That's why the Bible is so popular, and that's why even to this day, people are still debating about the Bible and what these stories actually mean. Why? Because every single person can interpret that story a different way. Every single human being can do that. That's why the Bible is so popular, because it's not like mathematics, there's no debate. 2 + 2 = 4. If you don't think it's 4, then you're wrong. In the Bible, interpreting a story your way, you can't be wrong. You cannot be wrong. How can you be wrong? That's how you interpret the story. So that's why people, even to this day, they can still debate about stories in the Bible. Yeah, but this story actually meant this. No, it actually meant this. But I think it actually meant this. But the other guy thinks that it actually meant that and this. That's what the Bible is. That's why the Bible is so popular. And that's why everyone likes to read those stories and likes to hear about those stories. Even if you're not a Christian, those stories are really beautiful. They're really beautiful stories about being kind, about having forgiveness, about working hard, about becoming the best version of yourself, about leveling up as a human being, and about having trust in God, how God will always love you unconditionally, how Jesus will always come and save your soul, save you. No matter how much you've sinned in the past, Jesus will always be there for you. And that's why the Bible is such a beautiful story. But in my opinion, what my Christianity, I guess, represents is, yes, it's the message behind those stories that I believe so deeply in. So like I said, did Adam and Eve really exist? In my opinion, no. It's a fucking made up story. Maybe even Jesus never existed. But that's not what's important. Who cares if Jesus existed or if he didn't really exist? Who cares if he existed or if he didn't exist? Who cares? At the end of the day, it's what Jesus represents. It's what message he shares with the world. It's what symbol he represents. That's why Jesus is so important. Who cares if he actually existed or if he didn't actually exist? Who cares? That's not what's important. What's important is what Jesus represents, what message he shares with the world, what symbol he represents, and what following Jesus actually means. Means being a loving person, forgiving people, being a caring person, being a good person, being a not only me person, thinking about others, having compassion for others. That's what Jesus in general represents. And that's a really beautiful story. So that's what my Christianity is. And that's my opinion on why Christianity is such a beautiful religion. And that's why, in my opinion, like Gandhi said, there are as much religions as there are human beings on planet Earth. That's my opinion. Like I said, because in the Bible, one message, one story, every single human being can interpret that story with their own message, can interpret that story their own way, because we're all different human beings. All human beings are unique. We're all different, so we all have a different perception on life. You can be similar with other people. Let's say I'm very similar with my dad. We have a very similar mentality. But even with my dad, which I literally come from his balls, I literally come from my dad's balls. And not only that, but also on top of that, by nature, we're very similar. And also, fun fact, he's born on the 8th of July, so am I. We're both born on the 8th of July, which is kind of fucked up. I mean, my dad and his son, my dad and me, his son, being born on the same day, which is actually crazy, 8th of July. But the fact remains that we're very fucking similar. I literally have his genetic code. I have his DNA. We have a very similar mentality. But even there, we disagree on certain topics and we have a different perception on life, although it is very similar. I'm not going to lie. Me and my dad have a very similar perspective on life. But when it comes to certain topics, we disagree. So imagine if it was me and another guy that I have zero affiliation with, zero genetic code. Even though I can be very similar to him, I'm still going to be different because we're all different human beings. We're all unique, which that's what makes the world beautiful, is each and every one of us having different perspectives, having different opinions, and just having a different view on life. That's what's important. And with democracy, if I might add, that's really fucking important. And that's why it's important to allow other people to have a voice. That's why it's important to listen to other people. Even if you disagree, he still has the right to express his opinions, express his thoughts on certain topic. Even if you feel like what he says is really dumb, you feel like it's complete bullshit and he doesn't know what he's talking about, he still has the right to express himself because we're in a democratic country. We're not in China. We're not in fucking North Korea. We're in a democratic country where liberty of expression exists and you have the right to express yourself. So that's why it's so important. Let me grab some water. Okay, so talking about religion and then quoting Gandhi on like how he said that there are as much religions as there are human beings on planet Earth. Let me talk about Gandhi a little bit, okay? When I was young, Gandhi was like this symbol of peace and hope and human balance, human love. That's what he represented, was peace and hope. That's what Gandhi represented when I was young. But now, I don't know, guys, if you heard about it, but I heard many stories regarding Gandhi where he used to beat women, treat women really badly, physically abuse them, and even rape them. That's what I heard. And it's even backed now by many proofs. We have big proofs that he actually did it. So these are my thoughts on Gandhi. What he did to liberate India, perfect. Good for India, although maybe India right now would be an even more successful country, an even more competent country, and even more developed if they would have stayed with England. But hey, that's another topic. But of course, at the end of the day, I understand Indians not wanting other people, random people who have nothing to do with India, with their culture, with their way of life, telling them what to do. So of course, I understand them wanting liberty from England and not wanting to be under England's rule. I understand that and I respect that. And what Gandhi did, he played a big part in liberating India from England. He played a big part and I respect that. But at the end of the day, Gandhi is a piece of shit human being. I said it. I know people don't want to say it because, oh my God, he's this liberator of hope. He's this big guy who liberated India from England. Yes, he did that. But at the same time, just because he did that doesn't mean that what he did to women, beat them, physically abuse them, rape them, doesn't mean that this goes without, like, we don't care that happened. He sinned. That's a big sin. Even though he did many good things in his life, just the fact that he did those 3 things, he's a piece of shit human being. I said it. It's a fact because no matter what you do, if you fuck up, you fuck up. I can go my entire life from age 1 to age 85, live the best life, be the kindest person, help everyone, be the nicest person, the most compassionate person, the most charitable person. I give the biggest amounts to charity. I helped the most people. But if at the age of 84, I kill someone, I have to go in jail. Even though before that, I did everything good. I helped so many people. I saved so many lives. If I kill one person, if I commit one sin, I'm going to jail. Same goes for Gandhi. If Gandhi, like I said, there is many proofs. There's many, how can I say this? There's many, not stats, proofs. There's many proof that he actually did assault women, beat them, and rape them. There are many proofs that he did that. And if he actually did, of course, now he's dead. We're not going to take him to court. We can't. He's dead. But if it actually happened, which I'm pretty sure it did, he's not a good human being. I know this is like a wild take to say that Gandhi is a piece of shit human being, but I said it. Because if it actually happened, then he's a piece of shit human being. And I stand by it. I don't care. Come after me all you want. Woke liberals, white liberals, come after me. Indians, come after me. Whoever, come after me. I don't give a fuck. If Gandhi actually did beat women, rape them, physically abuse them, then he's a piece of shit human being. If he didn't, then he's not. But if he did, then he is. Even though he helped India become sovereign, even though he helped India get out of England's rule, he's still a piece of shit human being if he did beat, rape, and physically abuse women. And I stand by that fact for the rest of my life. I said it. So recently, Trump when did he say? He said it during a press conference. He said that Canada only exists because of America. And then Canadians got all pissed. I understand their frustration. I'm a Canadian. I didn't get pissed because I don't really care what he has to say. But I understand his logic. We gotta agree, even though as Canadians, I'm proudly Canadian. I'm really happy to be Canadian. I would never want for Canada to become the 51st state of America. I would never want that because we are our own country. We have our own culture and we have our own way of life and our own identity, which is different from American identity. I agree. We are though best friends. Our border, for anyone who doesn't actually know, but it's basically like the weakest border because I mean it's Canada and America, right? Like we don't even need a fucking border, but hey, we have one because it's two different countries. But I understand where Trump comes from. Trump is very vain. So Carney said something, I don't remember what he actually said, but he said something that affected Trump's ego regarding America and regarding himself. So of course, Trump, he isn't really the, forget about it. He doesn't really have the forget about it mentality. He's more the stand on business mentality, Donald Trump. So of course, he was going to respond to Carney. And the way he responded, I mean, people can hate on Trump. Canadians can hate on him all they want, but he's right. In a way, he's right. I mean, Canada, our army is fucking shit. Like, let's be honest. Canadian army is shit. It's pure dog shit. We probably have like 10 tanks for the entire country, maybe 2 airplanes. One of those airplanes is getting right now, is in the garage, it's getting fixed. So we have basically like 10 tanks and 1 airplane. Like our army is pure dog shit. Like, let's keep it real. It's a reality check. And America have the strongest army in the world. The only reason people can't conquer Canada is because America is there to back us up. That's the only reason why. If America wasn't there, if America wasn't our best friend, if America didn't give a fuck about us, if America wasn't right next to us, anyone could conquer our ass. But at the same time, I do understand that if America wasn't there, then we Canadians, being really smart people, we would invest more money into our army, and then which would then translate to a stronger army and a more powerful army. So then, of course, we couldn't get as easily conquered as we could right now if America was just to let a country conquer us. That's true. But now, Canadians being smart, they know, okay, America, they're right below us. Even if one day, which is impossible, even if one day they hate us, they're still never going to let anyone conquer Canada because they're not going to let Russia have military bases in Canada right next to America, right next to their territory. They're never going to allow that. Even if America says, I don't give a fuck about Canada, I don't care who conquers Canada, they're still not going to let Russia or China have military bases in Canada, a country right next to America. They're never going to allow it. But even on top of that, Canada and America are best friends, so they're always going to protect us. So that's why Canadians, being smart, being really smart people, they say we don't have to spend as much money on military because we have America, fucking the world's strongest army in the world, right below us. And even if they hated us, which they don't, they fucking love us. We're their best brothers. We're their best friends. But even if they hated us, they would still protect us like if we were their own country, because we're right next to each other, and they cannot have one of their enemies, like Russia or China or North Korea, have military bases in Canada, because that would be a national threat to America. So it's both ways, but at the same time, I understand where Trump comes from when he says that we only exist because America are there. Half and half, like I said, at the end of the day, Canadians made Canada so beautiful, such a prosperous country. Of course, our partnership with America is beneficial to both parties, to Canada and America. We both benefit from our friendship. Maybe we benefit a bit more because America, I mean, we're like 40 million citizens. They're 320 million citizens. They're a way richer country, a bigger population. They're just a bigger country, not land-wise. We're the second biggest country on planet Earth when it comes to land-wise. Land mass, how do we call it? When it comes to territory, we're the second biggest country on planet Earth after Russia. But when it comes to power, influence, money, economy, population, when it comes to everything else, that translates to international power that translates to national power, America is a million times bigger than us. That's a fact. But that's okay. They're right below us. They're our best friend. But at the end of the day, Canadians being really smart, they created this country. They make this country progress and become better and better. Maybe now with liberals, it's not getting better and better, but hey, that's another topic for another episode. But I understand where Trump comes from when he said that Canada only exists because of America. And talking about America, many people hate on America. Many people. And I understand why. Many people hate on America. Most of them are non-Westerners. And on top of that, there's a lot of Westerners who hate Americans. Everyone in Europe, France, French people, Italians, English people, Spanish people, Portuguese people, all Europeans in general hate Americans. Yes, they are the Western world. At the end of the day, we're all NATO. But when it comes between people, Italians, they don't think highly of Americans. They don't like Americans. French people don't like Americans. English people don't like Americans. Whenever you go to the South, whenever you go to Mexico or Cuba, they always tell you, because when you tell them you're Canadian, they say, oh, I really like Canadians. I don't really like Americans. Because Americans are loud. They can be seen as obnoxious. They can be seen as very arrogant and very like, oh, we're Americans, so we're better than you, blah, 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 blah. So I understand that. But at the same time, as a Canadian, I'm not afraid to say that America is the best country on planet Earth. It is. It's a fact. It's the best country on planet Earth. In modern times right now, is the country that innovated the most, that brought the most to the world. Of course, they're not perfect, but it's still the best country on planet Earth. And I feel like many people who hate on Americans and who hate on America, they're a bit jealous that America is a superpower, is the biggest country. They have the biggest influence economically, culturally, socially, business-wise, whatever. They have the biggest influence when it comes to all aspects and all fields of life. They have the biggest influence. So I understand that some people might be jealous and might be envious of America and Americans. I understand. Let's take a guy from Kazakhstan, right? Do you think that guy from Kazakhstan who hates on America, if someone was to tell him, you know what, would you like for your country to be as prosperous and as powerful and as influential as America, he would say yes in a heartbeat. He would never say no. He would say yes in a heartbeat. But he still hates on America. So that just proves that he's envious and he's jealous of America, which I understand. I mean, they are the powerhouse. And with being the biggest country and the strongest country on planet Earth and the most influential country and the most powerful country, it comes with the territory. People are going to hate on you because you are the most powerful and you are the most influential. Just like between human beings, when there's a human being that accomplished a lot and is way above the norm and is way richer than most people, is way more accomplished, he's going to have way more haters, right? A more individual is successful, more haters he has. That's just human nature. People are going to be envious. They're going to be jealous. That's just normal. But same goes with America. People who hate America, most of them are jealous and envious that their country, their society isn't as prosperous, isn't as powerful, and isn't as influential as America. And some people just hate America because in general, Americans can be seen as very arrogant, obnoxious, loud, and not the most cultured people on planet Earth. Although that's not what I think. I'm just saying how many people can portray Americans and America. And talking about people who hate America, let me tell you the difference between China, Russia, and America, okay? So let's put America on one boat and let's put China and Russia on another boat, okay? So 2 boats. Perfect. In America, I can freely go in the streets or I can do a podcast, go in front of a camera, post it on all social media platforms and say, fuck Trump, he's a piece of shit human being. And you know what's going to happen to me? Nothing. Literally nothing's going to happen to me. If I go to China or Russia, if I go on the other boat and I go in the streets and I say, fuck Putin. Putin is a piece of shit human being. He's the worst president to ever exist. I would either end up in jail, or if I'm a man of power and influence, I'm going to end up dead or missing We all know what missing in Russia means. We all know what a missing reporter in Russia actually means. It means a dead reporter. And same goes for if I was to go in China, go out in the streets and say, fuck Xi Jinping, whatever his name is. Go in front of a podcast, go in front of a camera, post it on all social media platforms and say, you know what? The Chinese government is fucking awful. They don't know what they're doing. We should change the government. Xi Jinping is a piece of shit human being. He's the worst president. He's the worst dictator to ever exist. I would either, just like Russia, either be dead, in jail, or prosecuted for a criminal offense, which is basically just me having liberty of expression, which is basically just me expressing my thoughts and my feelings regarding the Chinese government. Now let's translate to the other boat. Like I said, I can literally say now, fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. I can literally say fuck Mark Carney and nothing's gonna happen. Even if Mark Carney was to literally see this clip, he will simply say, oh, I guess he just doesn't like me. But there's nothing legally that I can do to pursue this man. There's nothing. Why? Because here we have freedom of expression and we have liberty of expression and we have the right to express ourselves even if other people don't agree with us. And even if the government doesn't agree with us, we still have the right to express ourselves. Something that China and Russia don't have. That is not the only difference between China, Russia, and America, but it's a big difference between those three countries, which, again, like I said so many times, which then shows us the difference between America and China and Russia, shows us the level of difference and shows us just how more advanced America is and how much of a more humane society America is compared to China and Russia. Like I said, I could openly criticize American government on American soil. Nothing's going to happen to me. If I go to Russia or if I go to China and I openly and publicly criticize their government, I'm going to either be thrown in jail, killed, or one thing is for sure, I'm going to be legally punished by the law. I'm going to be legally punished because I did something that's illegal, which in Western societies, it's not illegal. Do not disturb. I don't know who the fuck's texting me right now. Okay. Talking about society, culture, and everything. Yes, immigrants who don't want to assimilate. I said it since the beginning. Immigration without assimilation is an invasion. My parents are immigrants. And if they didn't want to assimilate, I mean, they did. They assimilated really well. But if they didn't, it would be an invasion. And immigrants who don't want to assimilate, I always had the same mentality of, if you don't want to assimilate, it's an invasion. I always had that mentality, even with my friends, who are, most of them are immigrants. They know how I think. I mean, I have the right to express myself and I have the right to have my own thoughts regarding immigration in Canada. But yes, immigration without assimilation is, in fact, an invasion, like the late, great Charlie Kirk used to say a lot on his platform, on his podcast. And that's where I got it from. But at the same time, you cannot only blame immigrants. You cannot only blame the liberal government for bringing so many immigrants. Why? Broski. At the same time, we Canadians, we white people, we aren't having any kids. That's a fact of life. White people aren't having kids. We aren't having kids. That's a fact. And I mean, Canadian society cannot die, right? We have to have kids. We have to have a positive, how can I say this? A positive growth of human beings. Does that make sense? We have to have a positive growth of human beings, meaning that we cannot have a dying population. If I'm keeping it honest, if Canada closed its borders and only relied on Canadians and white people having babies, we would go extinct because white people aren't having babies. And even if they are, they're only having one child. 2 people for 1 child, that's 50% less human beings. If all white people were to only have 1 baby. If all white couples were to only have 1 baby, which is basically what we're doing right now, in a matter of time, in a matter of decades, we will go extinct. So yes, white people need to have more babies. I agree, we aren't having any babies. And I met so many white people, so many white Canadians telling me that they don't want to have any babies, which in my opinion is really weird. I don't know why someone wouldn't want to have kids. And they always say the same thing. It's either between 2 reasons. One, They don't want the financial burden of having kids, which in my opinion, even if you have 10 kids, it doesn't take a lot of money to raise them. Kids don't take a lot of money to raise, in my opinion. They need food, they need clothes, and the rest, I mean, they're gonna raise, everything's gonna be good, everything's gonna be chill. They don't need a fucking castle, they don't need a fucking mansion to raise. They just need loving parents. Kids only need loving parents to be raised right. That's all they need. And of course, a full belly and clothes on their back and a roof above their head. That's all they need. More than that, it's all extra. It's all luxury. More than that. So the main argument is always the same. It's either I don't want to waste money. It's gonna be and I don't want the financial burden of having kids. It's either that or women saying I don't want to destroy my body because I want to have a beautiful body for the rest of my life. Which, in my opinion, I understand beautiful women saying that, but I heard so many women not that beautiful saying that. And I never said anything because it's not nice, but I just wanted to say, like, girl, listen to me. Like, you're already not that good looking, so a baby's not really gonna affect you that much. Believe me, that's not nice. I understand, but it's a fucking fact. But hey, I understand their logic. Although that's a really stupid logic because having kids, I'm not speaking from experience. I'm speaking from other people's experience. I'm a guy who asks a lot of questions regarding things that interest me. And especially when I don't have experience in something and I don't have any knowledge regarding a certain topic, I tend to have a very curious mind and I tend to ask people who do have experience in that domain or in that particular experience. I tend to ask them questions because I want to know what's the actual feeling and what is it like. I'm really curious, right? And every single time that I ask someone who has kids, what's it like having kids? Do you regret having kids? Like, what are your initial thoughts on your decision when you took your decision to have kids? And they all say, all of them, 100% of them, they all say it's the smartest thing I ever did. It's the biggest blessing God ever gave me. It's the biggest blessing of life. And it's the biggest blessing the universe ever gave me. If they don't believe in God, that's how they say it. If they believe in God, they say it's the biggest gift and the most beautiful gift that God ever gave them. They all say that. And when I say all, I don't mean 80%. I don't mean 90%. I don't mean 85%. I literally mean 100% of people who have kids. They're all thankful and they're all really, really happy that they took the decision to have kids. They all say the same thing. They all say it's a blessing, and they all say it's the best gift they've ever been gifted by life, and it's the most beautiful gift that God or life or the universe has ever gifted them. They all say the same thing. So that's why, like I said, I'm not talking from experience, but when I ask other people that question, what's it like having kids? Do you regret it? Are you proud of it? They all say the same thing. It's the most beautiful gift that life has ever gifted me with. So, like I said, I never had kids. I don't have kids right now. So I cannot speak from experience, but being the messenger, translating that message. How can I say this? Fuck, what's happening with me, man? I'm fucking losing my words. Showing you the message. Is that how you can say it? Yeah. Being the messenger for this message just shows that when I ask them that question, they all say that it's the most beautiful gift, it's the biggest blessing they've ever been blessed with. Again, recently I saw on social media, this is like really big right now. Many people are scared. Of course, there are many people who are scared and many people who are happy that one day white people will go extinct. There's like this trend on social media. I guess it's like people just try to like spread propaganda or just trying to get clicks. They're like, oh my God, white people are going to go extinct one day. Some people are sad, some people are happy. Let me just cut this shit. Let me say it how it is. White people will never go extinct. Never ever. They'll never go extinct. That's fucking propaganda. They're trying to put fear in your hearts or in your mind. I don't know. That's social media. They're trying to push a propaganda, push an agenda. But white people will never go extinct. The sun will go extinct before white people go extinct. So far, we're like 7% of the population. Of course, fucking India and China, they're popping out babies like it's fucking, like if they're fucking baking cookies. It's fucking crazy. But hey, it's their culture, it's their way of life. They're allowed to have as many kids as they want. Also in Africa, they're having like fucking 10 kids. It's crazy. Arab countries also, they're having tons of kids. Doesn't change the fact that white people will never ever go extinct. If one day, it's probably never going to happen, but if one day white people in white countries feel like they're going to go extinct, they're going to find a solution for them to not go extinct, just like they found a solution for every other problem they had in the past, white people. They've always found a solution, and they will always find a solution for their problems. White people will never go extinct. So for people who are happy that one day maybe they'll go extinct, and for people who are sad that one day they might go extinct, let me just make it clear to you guys. I'm not hating on anyone, but it will never happen. They'll never go extinct. The sun will go extinct before white people will go extinct. So the sun will go extinct, and then white people will go extinct. So the sun will be out first, and then white people. Meaning, white people will never, ever go extinct. Like I said, it's more of a trend on social media. I don't know how it started. Maybe it probably started from, data showing us that white people aren't having many kids. And then with immigration, then with many people coming into white countries, having more babies, having a faster growing rate of populations that are non-white than white people. That's where maybe that fear originated from. I just want to say to people, you shouldn't have that fear, because that fear is irrational. And second of all, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Why? Because whenever white people feel like, if one day, probably never going to happen, but if one day they feel like they're going to go extinct, they're going to find a solution, just like they did with all their other problems in the past. Okay, talking about immigration. This is one thing I always found weird. You have the right to have your opinion. This is one thing I personally always found weird living in Canadian society. So I never understood why immigrants immigrate to white countries and then complain constantly about white people and white culture and the white way of life. Why the fuck did you even immigrate to this country? Like, you have the right to not like white people. You have the right to not like white culture. You have the right to not like the white way of life, the Western way of life. You have the right, just as much as I don't like the Arab way of life, the Muslim way of life in Islamic countries. I don't like their way of life. They have the right to live the way of life they want to live, but I don't want to live there. Which then translates to me not immigrating there. Why? Because I don't want to live in an Islamic country. I don't want to live in an Arabic country. Just as much as I don't want to live in an Asian country. Why? I respect them. They have the right to live however they want to live. They have the right to impose the laws they want to impose. They have the right to have the culture they want to have. Good for them. But I don't want to live there. I don't want to live there. I wish them all the best, just as much as I do to Arabic countries or African countries. I wish them all the best, but I don't want to live there. Even though I don't hate Arab people, I don't hate black people, I don't hate Asians. I don't. I prefer living in a white country because I prefer the Western way of life. I prefer Western countries, and I prefer the Western mentality. That's what I prefer. So I'm always going to stay here. I'm always going to stay in white countries and in Western countries. Why? Because I prefer that way of life. But if I was to immigrate to, let's say, an African country, an Asian country, or a Latin American country, if I get there and I'm not happy with the people who live there, I'm constantly bashing on their culture and their way of life, and I don't approve or I don't like their way of life and their culture, well then, am I not dumb to stay there? I'm dumb, right? I don't like being there, so I should just leave, right? Isn't that logical? So that's why I don't understand when immigrants immigrate to white countries, when non-white people and non-Westerners immigrate to white countries and Western countries, and then constantly complain about Westerners, constantly complain about white people, and constantly complain about their culture, about how Canada is shit, about how America is a bad country, about America is a shitty country, about how Americans are stupid people, not good people, how white people are fucking annoying, how white people are evil, how whatever. Why the fuck did you even move there? Doesn't make sense. Like, aren't you the stupid one? Aren't you the dumb guy? You're living in a country you don't like to live. Aren't you the dumb guy? Like, I'm living in a country that I'm fucking proud to be a part of, and I'm happy to be Canadian. So of course I'm gonna stay here. I fucking love being here. So I'm the smart one, right? I love being here. I'm happy to be here, so I'm staying here. But immigrants who immigrate to white countries and to Western countries and who hate being there, aren't you guys dumb? Aren't you guys the dumb ones? So you're in a country where you're not happy, where you hate the way of life, where you hate the people, where you hate the culture, but you still stay there. Aren't you the dumb one? Like, isn't that just logical? Like, I don't know. Like I said, I would visit Japan. I would visit China. I would visit Kazakhstan. I would visit India. I would visit Algeria. I would visit Congo. I visited Brazil twice, and I would still visit Brazil any day of the year. But I would never live there. Why? Because they have their right to their culture. I'm happy to learn about new cultures, to witness new cultures, to witness new people, new way of lives, new way of thinking. But at the end of the day, I don't want to live in those countries. I don't want to have kids in those countries. I don't want my future generations to be raised or to live in those countries. And I just don't want to live in those countries because I don't agree with their way of life. I don't agree with their culture, and I don't fuck with their way of life, and I don't fuck with their culture and their, like, with their people, I don't really mind, but with their politics, it can be politics, with their way of life or whatever. So I don't live there, right? Isn't that smart on my part? So I do, and we're all different. All human beings, some human beings love the Saudi Arabian way of life. They have the right. Stay there. Good for you. I'm happy you're happy. Good for you. I'm happy you're having a good life and you're happy where you are. Good for you, man. That's smart. Just as me, I love being in Canada. I would love to be in America, in Italy, in France, any Western country because I fuck with their way of life. I fuck with their mentality. I fuck with their culture. I fuck with their people. I love living here. So I'm smart. I'm like, okay, I love living here. So I'm going to live here. Isn't that just logical? Isn't that just rational? I don't know. But in my mind, that's really fucking rational. And just talking about the Western world, let me just make one thing really clear to non-Westerners who immigrate to the Western world. Like I said, most immigrants, they come here in peace. They come here in search of a better life, and they come here in search of a better life for them and their future generations and their kids. That's what most immigrants do. But let's not lie. My parents are immigrants. When I was young, I grew up with immigrants, amongst immigrants. I know what they think at home. Some of them would love to change the Western world, would love to change the country they immigrated to the country they lived at before. They will love for it. I heard the conversations at home. Let's not lie. You know what I'm talking about. Some white people, some Canadians can say, no, I think he's exaggerating. I don't think immigrants think that way. Not all, but many immigrants think that way. Believe me, many immigrants, when they're at home, behind closed doors, they talk badly about Canadians and about white people and about white culture. Believe me, how do I know? I fucking witnessed it for many years in many situations with many different people. I've witnessed it 1,000 of times. There are some immigrants who are really happy to be here and they want to fully assimilate and who don't complain about white people, white culture, white country, whatever, like my parents. They do exist. It's not only my parents. There are many other people, many other parents, many other immigrants. But there are also a lot of immigrants who don't like the Western world, who don't like white culture, Western culture, who don't like the Western way of life, the Western philosophy, Western mentality. They have the right. And you also have the right to stay here if you want. It's just when I'm speaking to you personally, it's a dumb move from you as a person because you're living in a country where you're not happy and you don't like their way of life. So on your part, that's a dumb move. But let me just say it clear. The Western world will always remain the Western world. So for immigrants listening to this, thinking that one day they're going to change Canada into whatever they want it to be, for people who say that, oh, one day Canada is going to be like my previous country, like India, like Algeria, like Serbia, like whichever other country, it's never going to fucking happen. Get mad all you want. Get sad. Call me a racist if you want. I don't care. Canada will forever be Canada. No one will ever change Canada. No group of immigrants will ever change Canada into their previous country. Canada will always remain Canada. The Western world will always be the Western world for the rest of humanity, for the rest of eternity. The Western world will always be the Western world. I hate to break it down to you guys. I'm actually happy to break it to you guys that the Western world will always be the Western world. but Canada will always be Canada and you'll never ever change it. Okay, so let's just say it how it is. I'm part of Gen Z, but we're big pussies. In general, we're really soft. We are really soft. The more generations we go, the more forward we go, the more current generations and the more generations in the future that will exist, the more and more pussier we will be. At the same time, that is normal, right? We don't live in the same societies that our ancestors lived before, right? It was way more rough before. Life was way harder before, and it was way more harsh. There was way more chaos in previous generations in their lives and in their societies. So, of course, we are a product of our environment. In general, like I said last podcast, if you're a real top G, most people aren't, but real trendsetters, real people who accomplish a lot, they're not a product of their environment, but they create their environment to be a product of them. But in general, most people will be a product of their environment, which then translates to living in a country where it's harder, there's more chaos, there's less order, there's more violence, life is harder, everything is harder. You're going to translate in general to a more tough person. You're going to be more tough and more rugged, and you're going to be less of a pussy, quote unquote. But of course, if you're raised in a country where everything's good, and plus if you're raised in a country that's really rich and everything goes well, and on top of that, you're raised in a family where your parents are really rich, you never had any problems in your life, you never faced any adversity, you never had any real life problem, well then of course you're gonna grow up a bit of a pussy, which is normal. I mean, there's nothing wrong there. So at the same time, like I understand people saying that, you know what, Gen Z, there's a real problem with them being pussies, low testosterone levels in general. And then after Gen Z, all the future generations are going to be even more pussier than Gen Z, and then more pussier, and then more pussier. I understand that. But at the same time, it's normal. It's not like it's a crazy phenomenon. It's not like it's an illogical phenomenon. It's a logical phenomenon. Hard times create hard men. No, how is it? Hard times create tough men. Tough men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. That's how it is. So now we're in easy times. We're living in easy times. So of course they're going to create weak men. We're living in easy times. Like I said, the only way human beings can become stronger, can become tougher, can become more competent is by living through hardships, is by facing problems outside of their life. No, I mean outside of home, at home. So in living in a society or at home, like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village, but at the same time, how you're raised at home matters a lot. Because what I mean is you can live in Canada, which is a society where it's really easy times, but at home you can live in poverty, live in a trailer park, live in a trailer home. So that means that you're gonna have a lot of problems, a lot of adversity, which then translates to, even though you were raised in Canada, a really peaceful and a really soft country, you're also raised in a really hard home, in a really poor home, poor neighborhood, with a lot of hardships and a lot of problems, which would then translate to you being a really tough person, right? A really tough person. And of course, there are many different circumstances. Like you can be raised in a country where it's really poor, it's filled with violence, there's no order, there's a lot of chaos, but still be raised in a family that's really rich, where you become a Nepo baby, where you don't face adversity and where you don't face problems, right? That can also happen. But in general, if you're raised in a better society, there are more chances of you being more of a pussy because you face less adversity, less problems, and you just have less situations where it forces you to be more of a man, quote unquote. But like I said, at the end of the day, what matters most is not your society, but it is who you are as a person. There are many people who are raised in Canada, raised in a really good society, raised in a really easy time society, and raised in a really loving family, in a really rich family, but they're still not pussies because they face a lot of hardships. They constantly challenge themselves to become better and better. They constantly do hard things, which then translates to them being more competent and more tough as human beings. That also exists. So at the end of the day, yes, In general, we can say that hard times create hard man create easy times create pussy man, easy man, to follow the logic. So of course we can agree with that, but at the same time, it's all about who you are as an individual, right? GSP was raised in Quebec in a really loving family. He was though bullied at school and, hardships here and there. But at the end of the day, he was raised in Quebec, which is a really peaceful province, a really peaceful place on earth, in a really loving family. But he's still far away from being a pussy. He's zero of a pussy. He's a real man. He's not a pussy. So like I said, it's all like, guys, don't get discouraged because you're raised in a loving family or because you're raised in a rich family. You can be raised in a really rich family, in a really loving family, and be really tough and be a real motherfucker, real top G, and be really fucking tough. That can happen. Like I said, it's all case by case. It's who you are as an individual that matters. That's it. That's the biggest thing that matters. No one cares about your feelings. Do what has to get done. Facts, man. You can complain all you want. You can be all in your feelings all you want. At the end of the day, no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck. When people ask you, hey, how you doing, man? You can say, I'm doing bad. The guy who asked you, he asked you out of politeness, but at the end of the day, he doesn't actually give a fuck how you're doing. I do the same. If I was to ask someone at work, hey, man, like I just come in at work, random morning, hey, how are you? He says, oh, I'm actually bad. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, you know what? Talk to me about it. I'm just going to say like, oh, I hope you get better. And I would just leave. Why? Because at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. Just as much as he doesn't give a fuck about me and my problems, I don't care about him and his problems. Not because I hate him, simply because I have my own problems and I don't have time to deal with his problems. All human beings, all men have to deal with their own problems because we all have problems. No matter who you are, we all have problems. Like Jay-Z said in his song, I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. More money, more problems. So even if you get all the money in the world, all the fame in the world, all the status, all the power, all the women, you're still going to have problems. So that's why at the end of the day, no one gives a fuck about your feelings. No one cares about your feelings. Do what has to get done. Get the job done. Even if that in that day you're not motivated, or if you are motivated, at the end of the day, you have to keep discipline. And no matter how you feel that day, good, bad, sad, happy, regretful, shameful, joyful, whatever, do what has to get done. You're a man. If you're above the age of 18, you're a man. Shut the fuck up. Do what has to get done. Because at the end of the day, if you spend your entire day just complaining, being sad, not having any hope, well, that's not going to help you because you're not going to go forward in life and no one's coming to save you except Jesus Christ. Of course, Jesus will always save you. But if you want Jesus to save you, you have to go in search of his presence. You have to go in search of him. But at the end of the day, no one's coming to save you. There's no Superman. The only person who can save you is you yourself. You're the only person who can help yourself is you. The only person who can literally help yourself is you. No one else can help you. Only you can help you. Talking about what has to get done and doing what has to get done. Consistency over intensity. Let's say someone wants to start the gym. I always use this example because it's really simple and it's really basic to explain, right? So whenever I hear one of my friends telling me, you know what, I want to start the gym, I always tell them it's always consistency over intensity. It's better to go 5 days a week for 1 hour every single day than to go once a week for 3 hours. It's way, way better to go 5 times a week, 5 days a week, 1 hour every single day, than to go 1 day a week for 3 hours. Yes, that one workout of 3 hours, although 3 hours, I'm just exaggerating right now, but 3 hours of working out is actually counterproductive because you're just tearing up too much your muscles and they're not having any productivity in your muscles, in your body. But yes, someone can say logically 3 hours of a gym session against 1 hour gym session, that 3 hours has more intensity than that 1 hour. You probably burned more calories in those 3 hours than in that 1 hour. Yes, I agree. But at the end of the day, he only went once and this guy went 5 times in a week. Consistency over intensity. And plus, if you think you're going to go to the gym 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, every single week for the rest of the year, It's not going to happen. You're going to burn out and you're going to quit. Whilst the other person who put consistency over intensity, who didn't overdo his training, he's going to be consistent. And in the long run, in the long term, he's going to eat you alive, and he's going to have way more progress than you and anyone else who put intensity over consistency. Now, I'm not against intensity, but there is a time for intensity. Intensity is good for a short period of time for a specific reason, right? Like I talk to many bodybuilders, and they all say that they all go to the gym consistently. When they go to the gym, they put in 80% effort. But let's say 3 to 4 weeks before their competition, then they put a lot of fucking intensity, because it's like the final stretch, is the last dance, is the last run. So they put all of their 100% every single day, but for 2 or 3 weeks, not for 56, 52 weeks around the year. That's just too much. They tell me that when it comes to the entire year, they go consistently 75, 80% at the gym. And then 2-3 weeks before their show, then they put a lot of intensity, because they're getting that last dance, that final stretch. They're getting the most they're just pumping the most they can 2-3 weeks before, to get the most results out of them possible. But they don't go to the gym 52 weeks a year, intensity 100%. They don't, because it's not sustainable. And in the long run, you're going to give up. And the other guy who did it smartly, who went to the gym smartly, meaning that most of the time he went consistently with 80% effort. And then, of course, maybe for a 2-week period, he went with high intensity. He's going to eat alive the guy who went intense for 52 weeks, because he's going to give up after 2 or 3 years, whilst the guy who goes to the gym consistently with a good 75%, 80% effort, he's never going to give up, and he's going to keep going to the gym for the rest of his life. So for the rest of his life, he's going to be way over the other guy. It's like the story of the turtle against the hare. The turtle who consistently does left, right steps throughout the race, and the hare who just had a lot of confidence. He said, "Oh, I don't care about the turtle. I'm just gonna rest. I'm gonna rest." And then at the end of the day, I'm just gonna sprint my best, and I'm gonna finish the race. At the end of the day, the turtle won. And the point of that story, the moral of that story, is consistency over intensity. Is doing what has to get done consistently every single day, day in, day out. Step by step, slowly but surely getting the job done, instead of just doing nothing and then the final stretch trying to get back everything you didn't do in the past days. You're always going to lose against the guy who put in the work every single day consistently, step by step. You're always going to lose against that guy. It takes balls to start something daring. It takes a lot of balls to start a podcast, to start a new business, to start whatever you have in mind, to start something where there's a lot of risk, and to start something where that is a lot daring, that is very daring. It takes a lot of balls, I agree. But it takes a lot of discipline to keep doing that thing day in, day out. It takes a lot of discipline. So to start something that's daring, to start something with a lot of risk, it takes a lot of balls, I agree. But to be consistent and to never give up, it takes a lot of fucking discipline, man. A lot of discipline. And that's why many people fail. And that's why many people not only fail, but that's why many people never reach their end goal of accomplishing their dreams and their goals. It's because they give up before God gifts them or blesses them with their results. They give up. Whatever you can imagine, you can accomplish. But to accomplish that thing, and the bigger your dream is, the harder it is to accomplish it. No matter who you are, no matter how talented you are, no matter how competent you are, the bigger your dreams, the harder it is to accomplish them. So whatever you can dream, you can accomplish. But just because you can dream it doesn't mean that it's easy. It's really fucking hard to accomplish big dreams. It's really hard. And that's why only a fringe minority, a really small population of the world truly accomplish all of their dreams and all of their goals. Why? It's because it's really fucking hard to be consistent, to do something. It's really hard to do something every single year for many years without any results. It's really hard, right? It's really fucking hard because you lose motivation. And when you lose motivation, the only thing that can keep you going is discipline. And having discipline is the hardest thing to have on planet Earth. It's the hardest thing to have. So that's why if you can dream something, you can achieve it. But to achieve that certain thing, it's really fucking hard, and you have to be ready and willing to go years with hard work, like a lot of hard work for many years, without ever seeing any results. That's how it's done. And then over years, it's going to compound. And then God, the universe, life, or whatever you believe in, they will finally bless you and gift you with all of your goals and all of your dreams accomplished. The bravest thing a man can do, in my opinion, is face his fears. We all have different fears because we're all built different and we all have different aspirations, which also translates to everyone having different fears. The bravest thing a man can do is face his fears. If someone doesn't have fear of public speaking, him speaking publicly isn't a brave thing for him. Someone who has fear of public speaking and then him speaking publicly, that translates to him being brave because he's afraid of that thing and he still does it. That means he's brave. He's brave. But if you do something you're not afraid to do, you're not brave, you're just in your comfort zone. So doing something that's daring, that you have a lot of fear, facing your fears is, in my opinion, is the bravest thing a man can do. One thing I learned from sales is that rejection is never personal. And you should never take rejection or failure personal. It's only personal if you think it's personal. It's only personal if you think it's personal. If you think that it's not personal, then it isn't personal. Believe me, let me give you an example. Whenever I go to the bar and I have one of my friends who wants to approach women and he wants to have a one-night stand or whatever, all my friends who take rejection personally, they never accomplish their goals. They never accomplish their goals. Why? Because they get one rejection and they're all in their emotions. They take it personally and then they just lose hope. They lose motivation and then they just give up. But all of my friends who don't give a fuck to get rejected, who don't take rejection personally, they all end up accomplishing their goal of sleeping with a woman for a one-night stand. They all do. Why? Because they don't take rejection personally. When a girl rejects them at the bar, they just brush it off and on to the next one. On to the next one and on to the next one until his goal is finally accomplished. And not only is that the right mentality to have for when it comes to chasing women, but it's also the right mentality to have when it comes to chasing your dreams. Like, let's say in sales, right? Today I saw like 4 clients, right? My first 2 clients, they were irrational. I couldn't close them. There's nothing I could have done. They just didn't want to know anything about my product and they thought that we were way too much above asking price and whatever. But the next 2 clients, I closed both of them. So if I would have just gave up after those 2, I would have said, oh, I'm taking it personal. Fuck, I hate getting rejected. I give up. I don't want to know anything else. I would have never gotten those 2 other deals and those 2 other closes. I never would have gotten them. But since I kept a stoic mind, I didn't give a fuck that I got rejected or that I failed, quote unquote. I just kept going until I got what I wanted and it's a deal. And I got 2 deals because I never gave up. Same goes for your dreams. Like Winston Churchill once said, success is the ability to go from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. If you have that skill, which 99.9999999% of human beings don't have, and even if you don't have it, it's okay. We can all develop it. You have the possibility to develop that skill of not giving a fuck when you get rejected or when you face failure. And the best way to develop that skill is by getting rejected and is by facing failure. A guy who was rejected by 1,000 women, do you really think he takes it personal when woman number 1,001 rejects him? He doesn't give a fuck. He got rejected 1,000 times before in the past. He knows how powerless that is and how actually that doesn't mean anything. So when woman number 1,001 rejects him, he just brushes it off. He doesn't give a fuck and he keeps going. But someone who never got rejected and then gets rejected once, it never happened to him. So he takes it all personal. He doesn't know how to react and he just fucks up. It's all bad. It's all downhill from there. So that the best way to get comfortable with getting rejected and to get comfortable with facing failure is by getting rejected and is by facing failure 1,000 times, 100 times. The more you face failure, the more you face rejection, the better you are at dealing with failure and rejection. That's how it works. Successful life doesn't, what am I, the best way to build confidence? Oh yeah, okay. Next one. The best way to build your confidence is by doing hard things and overcoming your fears consistently, not only once. The best way to build your confidence is by doing something hard. If you constantly do hard things, if you constantly do things that you don't want to do, or if you constantly face your fears, there's like more of you. You become better, you become more competent, which then translates to you becoming more confident. The more you are competent and the more you are proud of yourself for doing hard things, the prouder you are of facing your fears, the more confident you will be as a human being, which then will translate to you having more out of life, getting more out of life, and just being a more accomplished human being. It's all about confidence, and the best way to build your confidence is by doing hard things and by facing your fears. And this is, of course, when I speak of this mentality, I'm talking about having a successful monetary life. To have success, to have a lot of money, to have a lot of fame, to have a lot of status and a lot of power, right? But at the end of the day, a successful life doesn't equal to having a lot of money, a lot of fame, and having a lot of status and a lot of power. In my opinion, a successful life equals to having peace of mind, having joy, being happy with who you are and where you are, having loving relationships, having a loving wife, having loving parents, having good relationships with your parents, with your wife, with your kids, and having peace of mind. If you have all the money in the world, if you have all the fame in the world, all the status in the world, all the power in the world, but you can't sleep at night because you're not at peace with your mind, in my opinion, you're not successful. Yes, you have a lot of money and you accomplish your dreams, but you're not living a successful life. You're not living a successful life. You have a successful bank account. You have a lot of fame. You have a lot of power, but you don't have a successful life because you don't have peace of mind. You don't have peace of mind. That, in my opinion, a successful life equals to having peace of mind, having joy, and being happy with who you are, being grateful, and every single morning waking up with a smile, with joy, waking up with hope, and with happiness, and with peace of mind, and with ambition. And you can't wait to face the world. You can't wait to go on with your day because you're happy with everything that's going to happen. You're hopeful that the world is going to be beautiful, and you have peace of mind. That, in my opinion, that's what equals a successful life. And there's nothing wrong with people. Not everyone has a lot of ambition. Some people have a lot of ambition, especially probably in capitalistic countries where you have the possibility to accomplish a lot. Probably in those countries, there's more ambitious people than other countries where, let's say, you don't have the possibility. Even if you want to have a lot of money, you simply don't have the possibility. But even though if you aren't an ambitious person, there's nothing wrong there. You don't have to be a millionaire to be happy or to have peace of mind. You don't. You simply have to have peace of mind and to be proud and to be grateful with where you are. And in my opinion, no matter what life you're leading, you should always be grateful for what you have, because every single day above ground is a blessing. Every single day above ground is a good day, in my opinion. Like I said, many people aren't as hyper ambitious as other people, but they're still really happy with their life. They have a lot of peace of mind, and they're happier than someone who has a lot of success. So if I ask you the question, who's more successful? The person who has peace of mind, the person who has more joy and more happiness in their life, but has less money, or the person who has more money, more status, more fame, more power, but can't sleep at night, doesn't have any friends, any real friends, doesn't have a loving wife, his children don't love him or respect him, he can't sleep at night, and he doesn't have peace of mind, and he's not happy. Who's more successful in life? In my opinion, it's the person who is happy, who does have loving relationships, who can sleep at night. Of course, if you can add money to it and if you can add power and status, of course, that's also really cool. Why not be happy and rich? Why not be joyful and powerful? Why not be success? Why not have peace of mind and have fame, right? You can have both. But if I have to choose between one or the other, I'm choosing the one with peace of mind, with happiness, and with joyfulness. Why? Because throughout history, throughout humanity, we saw many people and many different stories of people having everything, like money, like power, like status, like fame, and they end up killing themselves, or they live their entire life with depression. I don't have to name, I can name many people. Elvis Presley, the guy literally had everything. I always use him as an example because he's a really good example to use. The guy literally had everything a man could want. He couldn't sleep at night. He didn't have peace of mind. He was depressive. He was taking sleeping pills. He was taking all these kind of pills. He was medicating himself with all types of drugs, and he didn't have peace of mind. And he ended up dying because he wasn't healthy as an individual. Michael Jackson, right? Couldn't sleep at night. His doctor prescribed him sleeping pills because he couldn't sleep at night. And Michael Jackson, there's like a theory that Michael Jackson is the most famous man to ever exist. Like, he literally, everywhere he went, people would faint because of his aura. Like, what the actual fuck? That's a normal human being. Like, he's a normal human being just like me and you. But because of his aura, because of his status, because of his fame, women would literally faint when they saw him. And he couldn't sleep at night. So he had everything a man could want. Fame, money, status, all the women screaming his name. He had literally everything every man could want. And he still couldn't sleep at night. And there's many other instances that prove my point that it's not all about money. It's not all about fame. It's not all about status and power. Although having those things can be really comfortable, can be really fun, and can be really cool. But it's not funner, it's not more comfortable, and it's not cooler than having peace of mind, having happiness, having loving relationships, and having peace of mind, and having a joyful life. No matter who you are, you shouldn't allow other people's opinion of you to affect you. No matter who you are, even if people think the worst of you, you should still love yourself the most. Even if everyone hates you, you should still be your own best friend. Why? Because no matter who you are, Jesus will always love you. God will always love you unconditionally. And hell, I mean, you only have one life. Isn't it way better to live that life being your own best friend than being your worst enemy? Like, right? You only have one fucking life. And like I said, not everyone's going to like you. You're going to have haters. And the more haters you have, the better your life is doing. I said it so many times. But even if somehow, impossibly, all human beings on planet Earth hate you, you should still love yourself the most and respect yourself the most. You should still, why? Because you only have one life. And shouldn't you live that life being happy? Shouldn't you live your life being your own best friend? Shouldn't you live your life being proud of who you are? You should. No matter who you are, even if I was the worst person on planet Earth, I would still love myself the most and respect myself the most. Why? Because that's fucking me, man. I don't give a fuck. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being. Even if everyone hates me, I'm still going to love myself the most. And I'm still going to have a peace of mind and a joyful life. Like they say, a calm mind is a strong mind. No matter who I am, I'm always going to love myself the most. So should you. Even if everyone says that you're the devil, you're a piece of shit human being, you're not a good person, you should still love yourself the most. Even if I hate you, you should still love yourself the most, because that's the point of life. What's the point of living life if you are your own worst enemy? We should all be our own best friends, and we should all love ourselves the most. Of course, if we don't have children, then it should be our children. But we should all love ourselves the most and respect ourselves no matter what we did and no matter who we are. You shouldn't give a fuck if people think you're weird. If you're trying to do something, if you're trying to accomplish your dreams, if you're trying to start something new, many people are going to think you're weird. They're going to think you're corny, whatever. You shouldn't give a fuck. And just to back up my claim, Albert Einstein once said, the thing about smart people is they seem weird to dumb people. So even if someone thinks you're weird, you shouldn't give a fuck. Why? Because like Albert Einstein said, is the thing about smart people is they seem weird to dumb people. And even if you are weird, who gives a fuck? Live your life, be authentic, be your true self. Never hide who you are. Always show your full heart. Show who you are. Don't be afraid how the world will judge you, who will judge you. Say what you say, mean what you say what you mean. Live your life how you want to live it, because you only have one life. And it's way better to live your life without a mask than with a mask on. So live your life on your own terms and always be proud of who you are. And you literally shouldn't give a fuck if people think you're weird, if they think you're corny, or if they think what you're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to do is weird or is dumb. Trust your heart, trust your gut. Always keep an open mind to get to changes, to become better and to level up. Always keep an open mind and an open heart. But at the end of the day, you choose your life, you choose your destiny, and you choose your path. We all have free will, and you only have one life, so you might as well live the life you want to live, regardless of what anyone says. If it brings you happiness, keep doing it. even if people think it's dumb, even if people don't agree with you, if it brings you joy, if it brings you happiness, if it brings you peace of mind, if it brings you something positive, keep doing it. As long as it's not fucking something illegal like killing someone, then fucking don't do it. But hey, you can do whatever you want. You're going to face the consequences. But if it's something that's not illegal, keep doing it. If it brings you joy, if it brings you happiness, if it brings you peace of mind, if it brings you something positive in your life, keep doing it. Okay, actually, this is the last topic. Okay, so recently, of course, on my sports podcast, I talked with Luca, and Luca said that one day, not that he said that one day, but he thinks that soccer in America will get bigger and bigger, especially in North America, that will get more popular and more popular, especially with the World Cup coming up. He thinks that it's going to have a big influence on its culture and on the North American way of life. I always had the same opinion. I always said that in America, especially North America, soccer is always going to be the same. Maybe sometimes it's going to be bigger, sometimes lower. Like, of course, when Messi came to the MLS, of course that affected the MLS a little bit. More popularity, fucking the greatest player of all time came to the MLS. Of course, it's going to affect the popularity of the sport a little bit in the North American continent. But I always had the same opinion, meaning that in North America, it will always be American football, basketball, baseball, hockey. Those sports will always be the most popular. Now Luca is always sending me these posts on Instagram, which says that now the most popular sports in the US, first is American football. Of course, American football is and always will be king in North America, especially in the United States of America. Second is basketball. Third is soccer. And fourth is baseball. And fifth is hockey. I disagree. I don't think this is true. I just think that these media companies who did these surveys, they took a small percentage. And of course, if I look at these media companies, one is called Soccer Forever. So, I mean, are they biased? Probably. But in my opinion, yes, soccer may grow a little bit. Of course, the arrival of Messi helped a lot. And just the world being more and more, being smaller and smaller. So we know more about other cultures and about other countries' way of life. And then, of course, North Americans being more curious. Oh, soccer. What about soccer? Let's watch this game. Of course, there's going to be curiosity, but it goes the other way also. Like, there's been many NFL games played in England, right? Many NFL games have been played in England because, of course, the culture of American football in England is really small. It's getting a bit bigger and bigger because there's curiosity, of course. Oh, what sport are they playing there? Oh, that looks nice. I'm curious. And of course, I mean, I only watch soccer, but I always watch the Super Bowl. Why? Even though I never played American football, even though I wasn't raised in a household or with family members who knew about American football or cared about American football, by living here, of course, I'm gonna have some level of curiosity. Just like hockey, right? I never played hockey. I don't even know I know how to fucking skate. I probably don't even know how to skate, but I still watch hockey from time to time. I follow a little bit because I like sports and I'm a curious guy and I like sports, and every sport has its own beauty, and hockey is a beautiful sport. Same goes with baseball, same goes with soccer and basketball. But in my opinion, in North America, I said it so many times, American football, basketball, baseball, and hockey will always be king. Soccer will have a big influence, especially with a lot of immigration. A lot of immigration does help, but still, there are more chances of when someone immigrates to Canada or America, there's more chances of him becoming a professional in American football, in basketball, or in hockey than in soccer. Because the culture in soccer and the development of soccer in North America is really shit. If I'm being honest, like my cousin, who was born and raised in Ottawa and then raised in Toronto, his parents are Serbian, just like mine. Serbian culture is all about basketball and soccer, especially soccer. It's like soccer, and then basketball. And there's no hockey in Serbia, like zero hockey. They have like a junior team for fun. Random people play it, but there's no hockey culture in Serbia, zero. But my cousin still played hockey here in Canada, and he developed a lot. And now he's playing in the NCAA Division 1, and he's playing really high level, and he used to play in the OHL. So there are more chances, and in Canada, in my opinion, hockey will always be king. And especially in America, basketball and the NFL will always be king with the MLB and then with hockey. But of course, soccer will always have its place. And let me just say one last time, the MLS is pure dog shit. It will never be good. And it was never good. And currently, right now, it's really bad. Yes, Messi plays here, but that's it. It remains a shit league. And just like Saudi Arabia, it's a shit league. Even if Ronaldo plays there, even if Sadio Mane plays there, and whoever, it remains a shit league. It's always going to be a shit league, just like the MLS. It's never going to be like the European leagues or the South American leagues. If I might add, Brazilian league and Argentinian league is 20 times better and stronger and better quality of football and better level of football than the MLS and then Saudi Arabia. So that was it, guys, for this episode. See you next episode. Peace out.